I agree, absolutely time for some art. So it is now introduced to you all our lovely instructor for this evening, Barbara Rowlandson. Barb is an aspirational poly whose creative pursuits include writing, illustration, songwriting, and dual degree and diploma from the University of Toronto and Sheridan College in art and art history. Her day job is an online content strategist, so fancy. And in non-COVID time, she performs as a bubble artist at outdoor festivals. So that is just as fun as it sounds. Please Google it. It looks like an absolute blast. Barb is also associate with the Ontario Humanist Society, and she recently authored a book with her sister Lori called The New Normal, Informed Predictions on How the World of Work Will Change Forever. That's a guide to the post-COVID-19 workplace, and it's available now on Amazon. One of the highlights of Barb's career was Ontario's Best Butter Tart Festival in Midland, Ontario, and that's grown to be one of Canada's largest food-themed events. And Barb still serves as the judge for Best in Show, so I think that is a pretty sweet gig for her. When she's not busy serving clients, you're going to find Barb pursuing a fun new pursuit like training her puppy, going to dance classes, hanging out with her daughter, or making giant bubbles. So without further ado, here is Barb Rowlandson with Barb Portraits.
Laura, that was an awesome introduction. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you could join me here tonight to create some bold portraits in the style. Just sort of take your drawing hands and give it a little stretch. And I want you to reach in and pat yourself on the back, folks. 12. Come on, you guys, pleased and happy to be able to listen for asking me. Thank you, Michelle. You've done an awesome job over the past few months. It is especially meaningful for me, and I reckon declining years. He passed away 2 years ago this month. It is to have an enriched environment for extra joy to be here today. Start off with a quick review of who is Iris Apfel anyway. I mean, we're doing portraits inspired by her, but is she? Well, let me tell you. Iris Apfel. Now, folks, I think the other our call here have their profile pictures changed to pictures of body to see these. If you go to gallery view, I think, would that be right, Laura? You go to gallery view. Iris Apfel. She is like one of my personal ones. She is 99 years old. She was born in Queens, New York. She started off her career in Women's Wear Daily and working for interior designers. And when she married her husband, Carl, they started a textile company and worked with rare and very opulent textiles that they sourced throughout the entire world. I'm going to take these off because they have a little glare. I just wanted you to see it because it's very Iris inspired. Yeah. So Iris and her husband Carl did all this amazing textile work. They managed to provide textiles for 9 White House administrations when they did redesigns. And Iris is a collector. She is a collector of fashion. She is a collector of costume jewelry, and she is a collector of art. And her collection has grown to this like insanely huge size, to the point where she needs like warehouses for all of her stuff, including like her multiple properties. So much stuff that in fact the Metropolitan Museum of Art held an exhibition of a selection of her clothing, jewelry. There's a documentary about Iris's life, aptly named Iris. And she even has a Barbie doll, which is like fashion's highest honor. She has a Barbie doll made in her likeness. And I think that is especially cool because she's a senior. That didn't happen, I think, till she was 92. So here she is, this like accidental style senior icon. And the reason why I picked Iris is because I identify with her in that her mantra, her motto that she works by is more is more, less is a bore. Do you love it, right? I love that. So I totally agree, Iris. I believe more is more, less is a bore. So that's who Iris is. We're going to get started. I'm just going to say tonight, you may have selected a picture of yourself or someone in your life that you wish to use tonight as your model. I will be drawing and painting Iris. You can either paint along with me or you can use your own reference, your photo reference as your guide. And I will try my best to help you out as best I can. But the very first thing I'm going to do, you guys, is to show you how we do placement on the page. And honestly, if we can get proportions right on the page, that's half the battle. The rest of it is just self-expression and the artist's hand. So I'm going to quickly show you 3 different ways in 3 different poses how to proportion onto the page. Okay, so here we go. So the first one, I'm going to bring this a little closer. Now you guys are going to do this. Sorry, just while I get myself organized here. All right. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to go over what I've drawn here in a pastel, but I want you guys to use a pencil when you do this. And you can, if you have multiple supports tonight, like multiple pieces of paper, you can draw along with me. If you only have one support, like a canvas, then you can just wait until your pose is the one represented. Because what I'm going to show you is how to proportion a straight on portrait and a 3/4 turn to the right and a 3/4 turn to the left. Most of our pictures are taken that way. So, so I'm just going to show you how to do that. I will be going over what I've drawn in a darker color so that you're able to see. Let's choose something fun. Let's do fun.
Barb, I am so sorry. I just want to interrupt real quickly and just remind some of our participants that it may be more useful for them if they now switch from speaker view, or I'm sorry, switch from gallery view into speaker view so they can see you a little more clearly. And that is it. I will let you get back on with your arting.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so hopefully you guys have switched over to speaker view and you can hear me and you can see my page. So I'm working on 16 by 20 paper. You might be 11 by 14. It doesn't matter. The first thing that we want to do is divide this whole page into 3. Why? Because we're going to operate on the rule of thirds. What is the rule of thirds? Well, it is a principle of design and organizing space where you put the focal point on one of the lines of the thirds. Actually, we rule of thirds, you use 9 spaces, but for our purpose, we're going to use 3. So how I do it is I just like basically take my pencil. Now this is a bit of a used pencil, and I kind of make a mark from the top. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. And I'm going to do the same from the bottom. And then lightly draw a line all the way across. And that way you roughly get your page into 3 quadrants. Okay? So you can kind of see, it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line. You don't need a ruler. You just need to have an idea of how we're dividing up the space. So this is a 3/4 turn to the right. And the thing about people, folks, we're eggheads. Like basically when we wanted to plot out the shape of a face, our faces are a bit like an egg. So I'm going to show you what I mean. If we're doing a 3/4, we think of the skinniest, the narrowest part of the egg is going to be where our chin goes. We want to go maybe a thumb's width up and just a little off to the center of the page. Just a little left of center. You can kind of see this would be where our center line. This is left of center. That's where our skinniest part's going to go. And we're going to start by drawing our egg. It's kind of almost straight up and like it's a little more straight this way. And as we come around to the right-hand side, it's a little more rounded. You see how we kind of have an egg here? An upside down egg? The next thing, and remember you're doing this with pencil. If you are drawing a 3/4 portrait that is left facing if you're looking at it. we want to kind of bisect the face as well with a curved line. We're also going to draw a horizontal curved line, and it's just going to be a little up from center, maybe about a finger's width. Why do we do this? We do this so we know where to place our nose, where to place our eyes, we know where to place our mouth. So we kind of want to just lightly with your pencil, you're going to just draw like a little mark for the eyebrow here, kind of in the center. We're going to draw another mark for our left eyebrow. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a straight line and we're going to draw it down like that and like that. And that's how we're going to plot out where our nose is. And same over here, that's roughly about where our other side of our nostril is going to be. When we draw an eye, we're just going to draw sort of a big space for an eye. So we can roughly plot where that's going. And I kind of want to do maybe a 45-degree angle up here, maybe a tiny little dash that's horizontal, and then space down. Another angled line on either side, and a straight line across. You can kind of see the bottom of the eye is sitting on the horizontal line, and that's great because we want our focal point to be our eyes. We're going to draw a 45-degree angle there, maybe a little less than 45. It's almost like a little peak of a little house for the space for the top of that eye, an angled line down, and another angled line up. We're just going to do a quick dash for where we place our mouth, and maybe a little triangle for where our chin's going to be. Typically speaking, just to one side of the chin and more towards the back of the head, we're going to make space for where our neck is going to be. And if we go, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way up from where our neckline is, draw a couple of horizontal lines down to indicate where the shoulders are going to be. So you can kind of see from here that this helps us proportion. It gets our head the right size and our shoulders the right size. Don't worry if the top of your head, hair, whatever, isn't totally going to be articulated in the picture. That's fine. That doesn't matter. Because we've got some really good proportions going on here. I am going to just quickly run through, bear with me, and do this for forward facing and then facing front, so that you guys can get a sense of, depending on what picture you're using, because you might not be drawing along with me, you might be drawing your own picture. Okay, so again, you're going to want to take a minute to use your pencil to make your horizontal line that way, your horizontal line that way, and you're dividing your space into 3. So this is forward facing. So what do we want to do again is start maybe about a thumb's width up from your bottom line here. And that's where the pointy part of your egg is going to be. And we'll go ahead and draw an egg. And again, you will be doing this with pencil. We have an egg. We draw our necklines here now. Okay. We'll just do a quick dash to represent where our eyebrows are going to be placed. And from this eyebrow, I want you to kind of draw right next to, I should have bisected our face here. 1, and just above center 2, okay? Just to the side of your line, lightly draw a vertical line down that represents a placement of the nose and a couple of quick dashes for where your nostrils are going to go. And we're going to just draw quickly a little dash where our mouth is going to go, and a little upside down triangle that will represent sort of the divot of a chin. And again, from an angled line up, angled line down, do a bit of an angle here, maybe straight across, and angled line up. Same on the other side. Again, this is just to give us an idea of placement. We're gonna obviously articulate a lot more. And when you're doing this in pencil, this will just help to serve you as a light guideline. Okay? And one more, I'm gonna just draw your egg shape facing the other direction because some of you might have the right facing portrait. Okay. So again, with your pencil, what you'll do is take your pencil from the top, draw a line straight across. And we're going to do that from the bottom. Okay. And we'll want to start maybe just a little bit right of center. We know kind of our centers here. We're going to go then about a half a digit up or a quarter, 1 digit up here. That's where the pointiest part of our egg is going to be. And a little more rounded on this side. And a little straighter down on this side. Join them up. Awesome. Just to the right of the chin, we'll articulate a line there to start for our neck. And put the back of the neck here, maybe just align it with the outside corner of an eye. Couple of angled lines down to represent our shoulders. And let's bisect that head again. Curved line, just above where the center would be. Center would be here. You want to go like that and have it curved. Draw a dash where an eyebrow would be. We're going to draw a dash there. And again, we're going to just draw just to the right of center, bit of a curved line here to represent where the nose will be, and an equal little spot there to represent where a nostril will go. Okay, let's draw. You should be familiar with this by now. Angle up, angle down, angle down, angle up. Same thing with here on this side. Maybe a little more straight across like that. There we go. This should help give you placement. So now I'm just going to go and start my timer here and put my next page up. And you guys, again, you can draw along with me. You guys can do whatever you want. Tonight I will be working in paint. And I'm going to be doing it in style that's actually quick and a little bit like creating a coloring book. Figure out how to do this. Normally when I make art, I do it very methodically in layers. And that can take me many hours to make a painting or a drawing. Well, we only have about 45 minutes to do our drawing. So we're going to do something that's a little more gestural and a little more simple and a little more graphic. So, all right. So at this point, if you want to paint and draw along with me, you're going to follow what I'm doing. Some useful things. Actually, I'm going to show you what my brushes are. Okay, so you're going to need water. I'll be using acrylic paint. My most go-to brushes are, I use a large flathead brush, and that's really good for laying a ground and covering a lot of space very quickly. an angled flat brush that also helps me fill in the figure space pretty quickly and lets me have, you know, lends a little bit of definition. I can get into corners and things with that little angle. And there's a smaller flat brush for when the previous two are just a little bit too big and I need to cut into smaller spaces. And I'm also going to use round brushes. These are really great for drawing lines and for blending in and doing smaller details. So we're going to do that. I am using acrylic paint today, but I'll be using them in a way that's going to graphic. Oh, and last but not least, I love this brush. It's a fan brush, and this is great for articulating hair. And we're going to use this on Iris's hair today. Okay. The other thing that you may wish to, actually, I think I highly recommend it if you don't have it yet, get some paper towel or get a towel of some kind to wipe your brushes on. Sometimes you need to be able to clean your brush very quickly. That's kind of important. Right. And you know what does in a pinch? If you need a palette, and actually I use these for a palette anyway because it's cheap and cheerful and you get them at the dollar store, is a cutting board. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few colors onto my palette. I'm going to add a little bit of Mars Black. You can see I'm not adding a ton, just a little drop. Next up, I'm going to add, this is titanium white, and maybe a bigger blob of that because you end up using more white than you think. And keep your white handy, your black too. A little bit of gray. This is just a little bit of gray here. Don't need a ton of it. And probably the one color I run out of the most, this is raw umber. I love raw umber. It's awesome. When I am going for different skin tones, I often use raw umber. It's a great color for that. And let's see, I think for fun, we're going to use, I've got like a vermilion, which is kind of an orange color. I'm going to be using that in the background or maybe on her clothes. This one is called Portrait Pink, but it's just really a light orange. You can also substitute that for a yellow if you prefer. I'm going to put that on my palette. And I think, yes. Oh, yes. One of Iris's trademarks is her bright red lips. So I'm going to put some crimson on my palette as well. And I think I'm going to go for magenta and violet. Now, you may be using crayons or pencil crayons. If so, that's fine. You're filling in a background space may take you a little bit longer, but let's just first focus on line. So I'm going to use some of this sort of darker purple and a lighter purple as well, just for fun. One of the cool things about when you paint with acrylic paint is that you can dilute the pigment with water. So if you paint very, sorry, grab my paper towel here. That's about how much paint I've put just little bits, not tons. Keep the tubes that you've used just handy. And I've got my paper towel, hold my palette with this hand here. So let me just show you what I mean. If I dip my brush, my widest brush, directly into my darker purple color and put it on the page, you can see it comes out pretty dark. We're going to just scumble that over. But if I add a little bit of water to it, what happens is it dilutes the pigment a little bit and it makes it a little bit lighter. And I tend to, when I paint, my general rule is dark at the bottom, lighter at the top. So I'm just going to, with my wet brush, start blocking in with my largest brush, some background. And wipe my brush off. And I'm going to go to my lighter color purple. Ooh, didn't turn out that lighter, did it? That's all right, no worries. We mix them too. Don't worry about overlapping. One thing that, you know, I really try to impress upon people when I do art with them is that art's not precious. Like, we get really worried about making marks on the page and making mistakes and ripping things up and starting all over again. No. Like, the fun is in the mistakes. That's how you learn. We're not going for, you know, a Rembrandt here. We're going for something very gestural and fun. We want to overlap a bit. Okay. All right. Off. And I think while we're at it, I'm going to clean that brush off. And I'm going to dip into my orange and my light orange. And with a fairly wet brush and my orange, I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm just going to start filling in some space here. Often artists will lay a ground, what they call a ground, and that they will put like a very thin coating of raw umber or burnt umber. Great masters all did that and just covered the whole page. And what that does is sort of gets us away from this idea of like the pristine space. You know, you get so afraid to like make one little mark. No. We want to just really fill it in quickly. This will dry quickly. Using a little of the lighter orange here. If you are drawing, don't worry about this phase. You can do this part afterwards.
Hey, Barb, on that note, I just wanted to interrupt you real quickly because I've gotten a couple questions from participants who are using pencil crayon right now.
Yeah.
And they're wondering how they maybe could incorporate some of these techniques with using pencil crayon.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, you've already made some marks on your page. And I'm going to move on to the more graphic part. So pencil crayon users, that's fine. We're going to move on to a first portion of this where you're going to do this a little bit in reverse, where you're going to make your outline marks first, and then you're going to fill in the blank. So if you have pencil crayons or crayons, now's the time you're going to jump in. I am going to use black. I'm using my small round brush, as you can see. And I've already laid out my egg shape. Now, Iris's face, here's the fun part. Iris's face is obviously not a total egg. We're going to kind of make a straight line kind of down here. I'm using black and it's almost like I'm just drawing like the outline of her face. I'm going to angle it in just a little bit. Now here the egg is a little bit pointy, but Iris has a bit of a jowl. So I'm going to draw a rounded sort of line, and maybe just like a curved line like that to represent her chin. And again, a bit of a jowl. The things that's fun about Iris is like she's almost like a caricature, right? Like I don't feel like you can paint her wrong because she's such an exaggeration. I want you to just kind of draw a line up here and then kind of go straight here. And let me get my black here. I'm going to draw a straight line down like that. Iris's ears are awesome. They're huge. A little bit of a horizontal line, flatten it out. Straight down, another angle, and then a big lobe. She has big ears, lots of fun. And with a wet black brush, we're going to kind of draw in the shape of her eye in the corner. Let's draw a straight line across and down. And we're almost mimicking that across and down. And just to make space for where her eyes are going to go, we're going to draw two horizontal lines there. Let's have some fun with her nose. She has the greatest nose. It's also really exaggerated. I want you to sort of, towards the center here, I want you to just draw a little slightly angled line down and then kind of, almost like a Squidward if you ever watched SpongeBob SquarePants. I guess that's not very flattering for Iris. Sorry, Iris. And we're going to make a mark here to represent her nostril. And let's draw a little curved line on this side. And a little curved line on this side to represent her nose. This can be very gestural, very free. Don't worry if it's entirely accurate. We want to have some fun. You know what might be helpful to us at this point is to draw sort of a little triangle shape here, a little top of the house shape here for where her glasses are going to go. And Iris's glasses are, of course, her signature accessory. And we're going to draw a horizontal line here, and then another, not really horizontal, that was more of an angled line here, an angled line there. And we're going to echo that again underneath. And this time, let's draw our vertical lines like that. That represent where her eyes are going to go. Now, we're going to place her lips next. So, maybe about a pinky's width down from the center. She's got these awesome, huge red lips that she kind of overpaints over the edge of her lips, and it's just the greatest. I love it. We're not going to make it too pointy. It's almost like a horizontal line that we're going to draw, and I'm going to curve it up just a tiny bit on the end, and a shorter angled line here. Okay. And let's draw sort of a straight line across. We're going to follow maybe the shape of the upper line there, the upper lip. Angled line down and straight line across and angle it up to join here. Awesome. Okay. Iris has some pretty pronounced nasal labial folds, I think is what they call that. I don't remember from art school, but we want to just maybe plot out where those are going to go. I hear you, pup. I apologize. I have a puppy. So she's 5 months old, so she may make herself heard as part of this. Okay, let's turn our attention back to the eye, and I want to just draw a little angle here, and we're gonna draw a pupil. But when you're drawing your pupil, I don't want you to draw a full circle because, of course, we have a reflection, a spot where the reflection is going to go. We don't need it to be entirely round. And we're going to draw another pupil here. And again, I hear you, puppy. I hear you. All right. Okay. And let's block out Iris's hair. Now, she always kind of has this awesome, we're just going to very lightly block it out with our black. She also has this awesome sort of short do that she does. And we're just gonna, I hear you, little puppy, I hear you. Just gonna block out the shape. I can see this line. We're gonna echo that line right at the back of her head here. Draw it around her ear. Okay. Okay. We'll let that dry for 2 seconds, and I'm gonna break out my smaller flat brush like this. Now, for those of you who are using pencil crayons, just hang tight. I'm gonna get to you. You might wish to, let's see. You know what? If you have a bit of your white and your ochre, you can mix that into kind of a skin tone. I have a paint called Parchment that's actually kind of nice. And maybe add something. Add a little maybe of your orange or your red to it as well, so that we have kind of a middle tone. I don't know if you can see that. I'm gonna add a little orange to it, just because I've got a lot of orange in the background and it might be kind of fun. And something they teach you in art school is to, if you use a color on one part of a painting, you should always put it somewhere else in the painting. So at this point, I'm going to use my wet brush and my middle tone that I'm going to use for a skin color, and a very wet, thin brush. And I'm going to scumble my mid-tones throughout. And I hear you, puppy. Apologies. 5 months old. They're a lot of work. I don't know if you guys have dogs, but I, for some reason, thought it would be a great idea to bring a dog home in the middle of writing a book this year. There we go. So we're gonna just kind of fill in, almost like we're coloring in a coloring book, coloring around the lines. Let's not do our lips. I'm gonna pick a middle tone. Awesome. Ooh, and let's not forget her neck. She has it. Okay. Just a thin layer. Okay. Now, I think now might be a good time to take our white and block in. Now, I'm actually going to use my big angled brush and just block in quickly a little bit of white space for the hair. I'll use the other fan brush later. I'm going to kind of go around her ear a little bit, just carefully blocking it in. Not actually, not too careful, not too pristine. Now, let's concentrate a little bit more on getting the eye complete. And this is also a point where if you have pencil crayons or crayons, this is a good point for you to jump in as well. So I am going to actually take a bit of that sort of medium skin tone and paint it into the eyes as well. The whites of the eyes are very rarely white. And I'm going to use my gray color to paint in, because Iris's eyes are actually gray, and to sort of color in where the iris of the eye is in gray. And I'm going to take my black, it still has a bit of gray on it, and I'm going to deepen the crease, deepen this crease around her eye. Add a little black there. I hear you, puppers. And we want to just draw kind of a mirrored line. This is going to be kind of like the lid of her eye. I'm following the line that I already drew to define the top part of her eye. And I'm going to close it off a little bit here with an angled line. Deepen the black in her, the iris of her eye there. The iris of Iris's eye, get it? And a little darker spot here. And let's do the same. The same over here. Okay. Sort of deepen that. I'm going to draw a little bit of a lash line there. Little angle on the inside. Let's close this off a little more. Really, her eyes aren't that big. And if you want, you can add a few sort of like little dots there to represent lashes. Same under here. Now might be a fun time to draw out where her glasses go. So Iris's glasses are big and round, and they're expressive, and they're fun, and they're a huge part of who she is. So I'm just going to emphasize the bridge of the glasses a little bit more. And again, with sort of a wet, round brush, not too dark. I'm going to start to draw a big old circle. Now this part of the round, like even though her glasses are round, they don't appear on her face as perfectly round. So you want to kind of angle the inside where her nose is just a little bit out towards her cheek. And when we do this side, we want to sort of very gesture here. There we go. Making sure that they roughly are hitting about the same place on her face. And it goes off of her face over here. Okay. And we can add some more to this in a minute. Draw out her. We're going to thicken that up and add a highlight and all that good stuff. And let's just draw a thicker sort of line to indicate that's where it goes on her ear. Okay. I'm going to take actually a bit of blue. This is phthalo blue. I forgot to add it to my palette. You have a blue pencil crayon or a blue crayon. I'm going to mix just a little bit of white into that. So I have a little bit of white here. And Iris characteristically wears this awesome blue shadow. We're just going to very sort of 1970s kind of blue, super obvious, super fun. Now, a fairly wet, round, large brush, and I'm going to dip it in my white. Now, if you are drawing, this part is not going to be as much for you. You're not going to be able to layer on some of the color, but we're going to think about where some of the highlights are on Iris's face, where the light would naturally hit. So at the bridge of the nose, almost draw like a little triangle at the end of her nose. Up here, add a little bit of white. And we're doing this in a very sort of thin way, almost like an upside down triangle underneath this eye here. We're going to add in more highlight, more spots of highlight. And don't worry if you see like the brush strokes of it, that's fine. This is artistic expression. Does not need to be perfectly, you know, we like to see the brush strokes. We like to see that articulated. I'm going to add a little more white at the side, above her eyebrows, anywhere where the light would normally hit. Underneath her cheeks. And just sort of maybe give her a little bit of white up here. Might seem like a lot. Let's do the lobe of her ear like that too. Actually, we can draw over that in a minute. While we're waiting for that to dry, let's think about lips. And I'm just going to take a peek at my timer here, guys. Give me 1 second. I don't want to run out of time. I'll work quickly. Okay. We're going to fill in our lips with, okay, use my smallest brush. Now I'm going to actually take some of my red, that nice crimson red, and I'm going to add a little bit of that umber to some of it just to darken that red a little. We don't want it totally right out of the tube red. Just a little bit. We're gonna think about sort of drawing in the edges of Iris's lips with that darker red. Do not be afraid to be bold here. Iris overpaints her lips big time. Bigger, it's almost like a clown. And then with some of our lighter red, maybe more out of the tube red, that's where we go in here. And I'm just going to actually leave a little spot for highlight there. Maybe paint it lighter, more of that skin tone. If I want to use that dark red again to define that space in between her lips, I can do that. Oh. Now, I want to actually take my black. I'm going to use my round brush again. It doesn't matter if it's your small or your large. And I want to draw in just a little bit of her collar. And we got sort of a and a point here. Kind of like that, guys. Line these up. And that's kind of the fold of her neck. And Iris kind of has, you know, her neck's a little older. Okay. Now let's have some fun with that fan brush. So take your fan brush if you have it. If not, use your larger brush. And we're going to start sort of swooping in her hair and sort of with just straight out white, out of the tube white. And don't worry, we're going to paint into this hair with some gray in a minute. Don't forget her hair is kind of in the inside of her glasses too. She kind of has like a little, you know, I hear you, baby. If you want to take that fan brush and go over a spot where you already have put some white, that's fine. There we go. You know, what might even be fun is if we really wet our brush down. Why not? Stick it in some of that red color and just apply just a little swoop, just a very delicate swoop on her cheeks, kind of like a blush. We're almost giving her some blush, like, yeah, across her forehead, on her chin, maybe a little down here. Okay. And I'm going to go into the gray, and I'm going to start working as this sort of articulate with light strokes her hairline. She kind of has a bit of a square hairline. If you're using a pencil, you can kind of draw in those strokes. And now, here comes the fun part, you guys. We're going to personalize this a little bit with some icons and some splashes. Actually, This will be great for your drawing people too. I'm going to take my smallest brush and think about what might represent you or something that you just really love. I'm going to start out by drawing little rainbows in the background. I'm using red to start off with, and I'm kind of doing it everywhere. Who doesn't love a lovely gay rainbow? Go to orange. Wee. Orange. You don't have to be particular about this, guys. It can just sort of happen. If I make a rainbow, I need yellow. Yellow scoop. And I'm cleaning my brush off in between each one so that, you know, if it was my daughter, she would probably be drawing horse heads right now because she's crazy about horses. If it were my son, he'd probably be drawing, oh, I don't know, D&D characters, trolls, or I don't know, whatever else is in D&D, fun stuff. And I'll draw. And a little bit green. A little bit of green. So this is really just, this portion of it is just up to you, what you feel like speaks to you. And what makes you happy. And I've already got blue on my palette, so that's handy. Blue. And turns out I have a little bit here that I was using in this part of the painting. So that's handy. All right. And you know what else I'm going to draw, you guys? I'm going to draw some pearl. I'm going to take my white paint. And I think I'm just going to do some strings of pearls. That's super quick and super easy. Hardly takes me any time at all. Really, all we're doing is drawing like a little, not quite a complete circle. Like that. You can get very quick at this. Don't worry about going over. It goes on to your drawing of Iris. She wouldn't mind. Go. Okay, be very quick about this. Leaving a little bit of that background in there as kind of like a highlight or a low light. I don't know. Do it. String of pearls.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again real quick. I think your camera might have been adjusted slightly. We can't actually see you.
Thank you so much. I'm so focused on what I'm doing. And I didn't notice I knocked my camera. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can kind of see I'm just drawing little circles to represent pearls. Iris would approve of pearls. He would love them. More is more. Less is a bore. Right, guys? Hey, puppy, get out of the garbage. Sorry, guys. I have a little garbage pendant over here. Can you guys see that okay now? Yeah. A little bit better, eh? Just the little circles. I hear my timer going off. Okay, keep drawing, guys. I'm just going to turn the timer off. I know that sort of means we've got, oh, maybe about 10 more minutes. Show it's done. And my friends, if you didn't get a chance to finish, that's okay. You can keep on working after we finish Zoom and start just to use your own judgment. I mean, we've got the placement down. I'm going to take a little bit of that white and put some on the end of her nose right there and underneath each eye. Here. Excellent. Last but not least, a fun way to finish off this painting. Take one of your wider brushes, very wet, and dip it into one of your colors. And we're going to give it a splash. Are you ready? This just adds a layer of fun. I'm going to do green next. Wet brush, green. I'm going to totally have to wash my walls after this. Just don't be shy about it. Give her a splash. So this session is being recorded. And you can come back and watch it later if you wish to. Here, I'm going to do some orange now. Ready? Start at the bottom. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. More is more and less is a bore. Ah. And let's do some blue. Some of that nice blue. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to wash my walls after this. One of the happy things about paper towels, if you don't like where you splash, you can just mop it up. And as a last, final thing, I'm gonna take my round brush and my black paint, and I'm just gonna enhance Iris's glasses so they're a little less, so they're like just a little more defined. Okay. The outside there. So they're just a little less sketchy looking. More is more. That is four. Here we go, guys. So we are at 8:40. I think this might be a good time to stop and maybe does anybody wish to share what they've worked on? I would love to see. You've seen what I did. Woo. Gestural, fun.
Barb, that looks really awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Sabrina's showing up some of her art. Brianna's sending us a heart. Victoria and Rachel, I'm going to call on you guys to show us some of your art as rec graduates. You guys are absolutely being put on the spot right now. Show us, please.
Wow.
Beautiful, Victoria. Yes.
Are we allowed to?
I'm not gonna lie. So we decided that we were gonna do each other. So this is mine, Rachel. It's a really good look. Really, it's a Monet. It's really nice from far away, but up close, it's kind of a hot mess. That's okay. So this is Victoria.
It's fine.
I'm still working on the shirt, but I got the curls and the glasses. So I think
Beautiful, guys.
every time.
All right, so if you want to share any of your creations, Allison, that's also gorgeous. Please feel free to upload them onto your social medias, tag us
Yeah.
Fit for Care 2020. And please be sure to check out my, the McCormick Care Foundation Facebook page in the coming days, because we're going to be announcing the door prize winners. So you'll make sure you want to win those prizes. And also check your emails, because we will be contacting you guys. So Barb, thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your time, your talent, your expertise. We appreciate so much of it. I want to remind you guys that tonight's event was recorded as well. So you will be receiving a recorded copy of it if you want to go over a couple of points that Barb touched on. And friends and family who have yet to donate can do so, and they will receive a copy of tonight's event as well. So with your help, with your participation, we were able to raise over $12,000 for Fit for Care and counting. That's amazing. We can purchase the wheelchair tandem bicycle for residents. We can improve green spaces. Just amazing. During this year, it's been just a game changer for all of us. For residents in long-term care, that's especially true. So now it's time to wrap up the night. We appreciate your support so much on behalf of the Recreation and Leisure students at Fanshawe College, on behalf of McCormick Care Foundation, Michelle Hancock. We want to give a huge thank you for all your donations, your participation, and thank you so much for joining tonight's event. Have an awesome night, everybody, and thank you again.
Woo!